Hello and welcome. It is 2:30. It is the 15th day of April 2021. I am your grumpy guide to all things gaming, the OGGM, and I have a headache, so I'm drinking soda. And yes, I'm drinking Coke. Screw it. 2024 is the 50th anniversary of our beloved hobby, Dungeons and Dragons. 50 frickin' years this game has been in existence in some form. Therefore, with some rumors already circulating that Wizards and Digital is working on the very beginnings of what might be the next big thing, we need to start theory crafting what we can expect in 2024 for the 50th anniversary for our hobby, because we know it's going to be something huge and probably a year-long thing. So, are we going to see a 6th edition? Or are we going to see a 5.5 edition where they re-release everything, go back to square zero, but just add all the new stuff like ancestries and upgrades and all the things that they've play tested over the past, well, let's see. 5e came out in 2014, so 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So that's what, 10 years since 5e came out. That's a long time for D&D 5e to be in rotation and still making money. But they're still tweaking it. They're still, even today, they just released another whole batch of things, of playtesty stuff on Unearthed Arcana. Thus, once again, making the purchase of Tasha totally pointless. I'm sorry. So, one school of thought is we will see a 5.5, much like 3.5, where they'll just restart, re-release everything, but with all the new stuff added. And the other school of thought is, of course, we will see a 6th edition, which will take everything we've learned from 5th edition, how 5th edition has changed and how the industry has changed since 2014 because of Critical Role and everything that has happened after Critical Role, and the separation of the two camps, the 3 camps of D&D players, the OSR players, the new players, and then the who are playing face-to-face, and the new players who are playing digital, and everything that's changed, post Tasha, post Ravenloft, and just do a 6th edition. So, let's theory craft. Which would make them more money? Re-releasing 5th edition with an all-new 5.5 upgrade, forcing you to rebuy the Player's Handbook, knowing that the Player's Handbook would now hopefully include everything that they have tweaked and changed and thinged and Tasha'd since then? Or would they make more money with a new edition? Well, I'm leaning towards a new edition. I'm leaning towards we will see a 6th edition. And why will we see a 6th edition? Because of what the CEO said last year, because of what recently happened with the restructure of Wizards of the Coast, and of course, because of the announcement just this week about what's going on with Magic the Gathering, Wizards of the Coast's major cash cow, and basically, technically, Hasbro's major cash cow at this point. Because let's face it, Magic the Gathering and D&D is probably making Hasbro way more money than Power Rangers is, or G.I. Joe at this point. So, to rewind, last year, during the Hasbro Powerthon, the CEO came forward and said, going forward, he wants Dungeons & Dragons and Magic the Gathering to coalesce, to become basically the same thing. He wants to appeal to both fans. He wants Magic the Gathering players playing D&D, and he wants D&D players playing Magic the Gathering. He wants to end this constant battle that's been going on between Magic players and D&D players. So let's face it, Magic started as a D&D thing, and bring us back together, because then he could just get all the money, all the Magic money, all the D&D money. Now it becomes just the same money. So then, as we know, at the beginning of the year, Hasbro restructured and turned Wizards of the Coast into Digital and Wizards. So everything going forward is basically digital IP and Wizards of the Coast IP are now also going to be falling under the same envelope, which means we can expect a lot more of Wizards of the Coast IP to be going digital, D&D Beyond. And of course, the third thing shaping the future of the hobby is the announcement this week that the new core set for Magic the Gathering is going to be the Forgotten Realms. Now, it's not an expansion like the Walking Dead thing or the Transformers thing. No, this is the core set, which means the official Magic the Gathering rules, tournament legal, everything going forward. The core set is now this Forgotten Realms set. Everything is now Forgotten Realms inspired. Dominia? I don't know. But from this point on, Magic the Gathering's core starting place from this point forward, Forgotten Realms. So everything going forward, Magic the Gathering leads us to believe will be somehow Forgotten Realms tied in, because the Forgotten Realms is Magic the Gathering set is now the core set. Plus, we are expecting to see some more D&D Magic the Gathering source books like Gravinica. So this means Magic the Gathering, D&D are now basically the same thing, and they're both going digital. We know that the largest percentage of the cash cow that for the past couple years, especially over the past year during the pandemic, was video. D&D Beyond, the online games, Critical Role, everybody trying to copy Critical Role, that huge cash cow. Even though we know Critical Role has slowly begun to separate themselves from Wizards of the Coast, announcing their own publishing company at the end of last year and already releasing product through that new publishing company, including testing the waters with a role-playing game. Not a fantasy role-playing game. It's an urban fantasy, urban horror, Buffy the Vampire style Dresden thing. It has nothing to do with D&D. But they're testing the waters. Predictions are they will release a Critical Role Wildmount Mighty 9 role-playing game probably next year or the year after that. Let's face it, anybody who watches the shows knows they're playing the Critical Role role-playing game. They're not playing D&D anymore. So there's something that Wizards of the Coast also has to consider. What's going to happen with Critical Role? And will they go off and start their own thing, becoming the new Paizo and taking money away? Or will they remain and be the forefront of the shape of Dungeons & Dragons in the future? Therefore, I think for 2024, we will see a 6th edition, and the three things that are going to influence that 6th edition are, first and foremost, Magic the Gathering, and the belief of Hasbro's CEO that Magic the Gathering and D&D have to be a shared IP. The second thing shaping what 6th edition will look like will be digital. I think at least 30%, if not more, of whatever 6th edition is going to be in 2024 will be online, will be D&D Beyond related, will be downloadable virtual IP. There will probably be PDFs available for everything for people who want to actually, stuff, and maybe, deluxe printed out things like, the Player's Handbook is now online, but for $25, $50, $75, $100, you can get the physical Player's Handbook, but everything's going to be on this. I don't think we're going to see this, and we're definitely not going to see this going forward with the future of whatever 6th edition is going to be. More than likely, most of 6th edition is going to be on this in some form. And the third thing that's going to shape 6th edition is the OSR movement. It's old farts like me. Wizards of the Coast knows that our needs are being satisfied by this. The nostalgia market is being covered by the OSR, especially with Goodman Games re-releasing all the classic modules in their new deluxe special thingies. So Wizards of the Coast doesn't have to appease us anymore. Doesn't have to appease the 3.5 going backwards crowd. Their target audience is the 5th edition audience. Because, let's face it, does 4th edition have an audience? Maybe, but really, I'm not their target audience. People like me are not their target audience. our needs are being met by the OSR. We may casually look at D&D stuff now, and most of us are like, sure, if there's nothing else to do, I guess I'll play 5th. Though a lot of the OSR are like, fuck, I'm never touching 5th. But if you're like me, you're like, sure, I'll do 5th. It's going to make the store money. But because they do not have to appease us anymore, because we're not their target audience anymore, they don't have to keep mining the nostalgia. They can start fresh. We could have a new chunk of the Forgotten Realms, completely free of the 40 some odd year history. We can start fresh with this Magic the Gathering Forgotten Realms codependent storyline. Sure, there'll be some of the nostalgia stuff like Drizzt or whatever else, they think is the big money tickets. But, we're not going to see another, Expedition to the Barrier Peaks, Isle of Dread, Lost Cavern of Takamachin. They can make all new product, all new IP, knowing that they don't have to, I don't have to worry about the nostalgia crowd anymore. We can make all new stuff. And we can make all new stuff in the new image going forward of digital Wizards and Magic the Gathering. Therefore, this is probably not the future of 6th edition. Nor is this. This is probably the future of 6th edition. And the nostalgia market is not really a concern anymore to them, because the nostalgia market, people like me, are having our needs met by the OSR. Which means whatever they do with 6th edition, it can be finally what they've been trying to do since 3.5, can be the D20 Wizards of the Coast Hollywood Mideveil Magic the Gathering fantasy game. In fact, they might call it still D&D, but will it be Dungeons and Dragons and anything other than name? Probably not. At least not the way we're used to it. At least not the way I think of D&D. So, in closing, will there be a 6th edition? I think so. I'm 70% yes, 20%, 30%. We'll see a 5.5, which will basically be a Tasha's Plus. But I really think we'll see a 6th edition, and I really think we'll see a 6th edition because of those 3 reasons. Magic the Gathering, the belief that the future of the hobby is digital, and because they don't have to appease the nostalgia market anymore. So they can go for the high ticket, brand new, milk the post-critical role, milk their target audience, which is a brand new target audience. I'm not their target audience anymore, which is fine. They've evolved past me, so they don't have to appease me anymore because I have a new place to go. They're going to appease their new core audience going forward with this Magic the Gathering digital. So there we go. That's what I think. I could be completely wrong. Who knows what 2024 will bring? It could be amazing, or it could be awful, much like the recent WWE firings that just happened today. What the fuck were you thinking, WWE, letting Joe go? Anyways, I'm your grumpy guide to all things gaming. You know what to do. If you appreciate this content, comment down below. If you think I should shut the fuck up, comment down below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to help me hit 500 subs, support me by buying my product over at the DMs Guild, and above all, get off my lawn.